Is the U back?
So I was having this conversation with somebody. So I think Miami is really good. They might have the best defensive player in the country. Like Ruben Bain seems like he would have been right at home on them old Canes teams. But
Didn't his daddy play for him, right?
That's right. I think that's right. That's right. That's right.
He's Tobin's son.
That's right. I think that's right. But so I think the thing is when people talk about is Miami back, they don't mean is Miami good. They mean, how can I say this?
By the way, he's Ruben Bain Jr., so he's a nephew at best.
Oh, that's okay. All right. But
good.
It's in him. Like you can see that the Kane is in him. Like he's got the whole Alvin Mack kind of personality about the man. But when people are talking about is the U back, I'm still trying to figure out. I'm just gonna say it, and y'all bleep it out if y'all need to. Them teams were niggerish, dog. You know what I'm saying? And like that's what I like. When I'm thinking of the U and all that fun stuff, I'm thinking of Randall Hill running all the way through the Cotton Bowl tunnel. I'm thinking of Michael Irvin getting up dancing on you and all that stuff, and elaborate hand celebrations. Yeah.
Do you think of the 01 Canes though, because they did not have that personality?
So that is interesting, but they still kind of had a little bit of an edge to them. Remember the 7th Floor Crew and
that was the later guys,
the 2003 team. I think maybe they were still living off the fumes of that, and because they were so great, like they were inarguably amazing, and they were so talented that it felt like they were sort of like heirs to that era. But no, I don't think. I didn't love them in the same way. And you can never love a sport or a team in the way that you do when you're 11 or 12 years old. And that's when Miami was great. And that left the thing. But do you think of them as back just because they're good?
Well, no, because being there, it's kind of like when people say, is Texas back? I'm like, oh, they're going to win 10 games 9 years in a row, right? Like, is that like, you're not going to establish that in a year. Like Texas as good as they were last year.
Right.
That is not an establishment of backness, though the roster looks like those MAC rosters, and let's not get it twisted. Those MAC rosters were like monstrous.
Oh
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What I find interesting about Cristobal coaching that team is that he is like the forgotten scion of Saban because he's not in the SEC. So we don't think of him in the ways that you think about Kirby or even Jimbo, where Florida State was an SEC school, not in the SEC, right? But Kirby, Will Muschamp, Lane Kiffin. We can rattle off more like these.
Mel Tucker.
Yeah, yes, there's that. But the Saban guys, right? What makes it interesting for me is that Cristobal is a Cane, first of all.
Yes.
But he is absolutely a Saban guy, which is Compton and Long Beach together. Now you're in trouble, right? Like you are putting together two of the most dominating traditions that you've had, right? And so where Mario. The other difference between Mario, or the big difference to me between Mario and the Saban guys is they are known much more for being tacticians than Mario is. And that is not what Mario's giving you. But Mario is getting them boys, and they go line up.
Right.
And they got some access to some cash. And look, the Miami football program has never been based on out-scheming you.
No.
We're going to get really good players, and we're going to rush 4, and we're going to drop 7. And we're going to run the ball a lot. And then we're going to throw it when we need to because our receivers are faster, but we're going to get you that way. So you take a great offensive line coach and put him in the fastest state in the country, and you have a chance to really make something happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about Miami is that even right now, they're great along the lines. I bet it's just kind of funny for Carson Beck to have been at Georgia, which is, we think of like one of the most badass programs of recent vintage. But he was running for his life last year and not looking good and didn't really have anybody to throw to that he was excited about. And now he goes down to Miami and he's like, oh, this is what it's like to have a little bit more space back here. I got a little bit more time back here. And that's because that's what Mario is all about, building up those offensive. They are not going to be soft. They may be stupid. They may make mistakes.
Don't Mario be doing things.
He played for a 40+ yard field goal against Notre Dame in that game. And I'm just like, you won the game, cool, but you thought that made sense to put the game on the foot of a guy that was a fairly new kicker, and it was like a 40+ yard kick? That didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, they may do dumb stuff and time management stuff, and they may drop a game. But yeah, like they're gonna be tough as shit. Like they're gonna have the boys out there for real.
And look, man, the ACC will give you some warm-up competition before you come out, to play the games. But in the end, it's still a really good place to get players.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's not what it was when nobody had figured out that they had the players, right? Mm-hmm. And they just had a complete lockdown of the area and an ability to go get the guys they needed from out of state. Having a down University of Texas, which is always helpful in helping you. A lot of that run in like the late 80s, early 90s, down Texas, down OU.
Right.
So now you could go get Gary Gibbs boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you could go get what's his name? Jesse Armstead, for example. Right. Mm-hmm. I think Kevin Williams, as I'm not mistaken, was another one of those. But you could go get those guys. Now everybody got in there. Like they're still they were still doing great business recruiting South Florida.
Yeah.
You just got to get a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, now you got to do that because everybody takes South Florida kids. I mean, remember Amari Cooper going up to Alabama, stuff like that.
Well, that was the thing. Saban was going down there.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I know they down here. The thing about Miami that is tough is that they just don't have the same pageantry, none of the stuff. Like if you go to a game at LSU or you go to a game at Alabama or Auburn, and then you go to a game down there in Miami, it's just not gonna feel the same. And so I bet if you want, what? So when I was in Tampa, I covered a kid named Vernon Hargreaves. If you remember Vernon, he was the best high school player. Right, his daddy was a coach for those Miami. He was a linebackers coach, I think, for Miami during that Andre Johnson and Ed Reed run. And so he wanted to go to Miami, Vernon Hargreaves, and he was just like, man, when I went down there, it looked like it did when I was growing up. Like he was just saying, all the facilities were old and they didn't have everything. And he's like, I just couldn't go down there. And so,
that's because they would like to be good, but they ain't want to be good.
Right.
But that also happens. Those schools that have a built-in advantage.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina basketball has suffered this fate multiple times.
Yeah.
They're like, people grow up wanting to come here, right? They commit before they get here. Why do we need to do this? And then you look up one day and it's like, wow, this carpet's really old. And then you wind up having to like turn everything open. And that was the same thing with Miami. They're like, what are you talking about? These boys just want to stay home.
Yeah, they want to come to him.
Right. And then they also reached a point where they're like, no, actually, people trying to get the hell out of here, dog. Like, it's a little bit like Brian Pater is those sorts of stories I don't think did Miami any favors.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looked just a little like grim and dangerous down there, right? Because they had another kid that got killed on that team back in the 90s, right? Like during the Ray Lewis era, they had like, right? Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing, man. If you was from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you from there,
yeah.
Whether you should stay or whether you should go is just a very interesting question, depending upon who you are and what your reasons are, right? But like, take New York City, for example. These kids are using basketball not to stay.
Right. Yeah. Well, they trying to get down to Atlanta. Remember when
they try to get anywhere?
Yeah, out of that town. Absolutely.
Anywhere but the crib, And so, no, I think that program is so interesting. And now let's see where it is, because Mario is not a caned by personality per se, but he's of it, right? Yep. And I will say this. The last thing I'll say about this before we got to give Joel back his time. When the players looked like they was about to set it off in 2020,
mm-hmm.
Against the colleges and all that, I wound up on the phone call with Javon Holland, who now plays for the New York Giants.
Okay.
He played for Oregon. Cristobal was the coach at Oregon at the time. And look, man, Holland was a dude that had like he was a ringleader of this sort of thing. The Malcolm X poster on the wall, all of that stuff, right? Which may not seem to be the case if he's real zoomy when you look at him, right?
Yeah.
But like, I was so impressed with Holland in that interview that anytime something good happens to him to this day, I'll send him a text and be like, hey, man, I see what you're doing, right? Because look, man, that dude said in 2020 when they was looking like they was going to set it off, he was like, I know exactly what I'm stepping into. And if this costs me whatever, I did it for the right reasons. That's somebody saying that at 21 years old.
I like that, man.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a stand-up dude. And that stand-up dude could not have loved Mario Cristobal more.
Really?
Like, in a really sincere, profound way. Like, he had an admiration for the fact that Cristobal didn't necessarily agree with everything that he was saying about how he wanted to handle that situation, but the way he listened and entertained everything that everybody had to say in that time. Like Cristobal, from that, I came away from that feeling like he's what you want a college coach to be.
Yeah.
As terms of leader of men, molder of men type of guy, right? I just don't know, if he can coach.
Right. It might not even matter. And, I mean, I guess that's part of the legacy of being part of those Kings teams. You have to learn, man. Like sometimes when those guys run the locker room and you exposed to all these guys and you in the games that they in and the experiences they in, like Mario probably picked up a lot living with those dudes. And so, yeah, how could that not impact him when he has to get to coach those guys later, right?
Right. Like that's
like Kirby, Look how Kirby can talk to them boys, man.
Kirby was in the DB room.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You gotta remember, right. Kirby was in there. I think he left before this, but like Kirby in there with Champ.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're gonna have to learn some things when you're in those rooms, man. You learn how to talk and move in certain kind of rooms, man.
And look, and Kirby played, right?
That's right. He was a good player. I don't know if he was all SEC, but he was like,
I think he was.
Was he all SEC? Yeah, he was a very good college football player, man.
Yeah, Kirby was a good player. Will Muschamp, it didn't seem like it, but he clearly knows some things about talking to these boys.
Yeah,
he was in the DB room.
I mean, look, man. I mean, Nick Saban. I mean, it was a different era at the time, but Nick Saban is a DB coach, man.
Yeah.
And it gives you a chance. And that's why you saw Nick Saban doing line dancing in people's homes and looked like he knew all the steps. Like he didn't know how to walk him through it.
I'll tell you right now, we talked about this on here before. He know the Alexa slide. He know the bus stop. He know the Harlem shuffle. He know the cha-cha slide. You ain't sneaking nothing past Nick.
Oh, he's seen it all. He's seen it all.